My name's Kevin Steed. Subscribe to Heel Steven on YouTube.com, or I'll come to your house and ruin your life.
Okay, so in this video, what I want to do is tell you guys the story of how I became a wrestling fan and how this love that I have for wrestling all began. Now, I'm sure that this video in particular won't go viral, but what I do hope is that the cause of this video can make other people within the IWC, YWC share their story and how they became wrestling fans and how their love for wrestling also came about. Alright, that's all I'm hoping for. If it does, awesome. If it doesn't, then you know what? At least I tried. If it wasn't for one person, my love for wrestling probably would have never happened, or I probably would never be watching wrestling or making videos about wrestling, period. And I gotta thank that one person. That one person is my brother. If it wasn't for him, none of this would be happening right now. When he came to America at age 8, he and his friends that he made would always record wrestling shows, okay? And they would always record every show that they can watch, from WWF, WCW. He would record every WrestleMania, every Royal Rumble, every Survivor Series, every SummerSlam, every Superstars, Great American Bash, Clash of the Champions, every Starrcade, every Halloween Havoc. Anything that he could watch, he would record. And he would always trade in tapes with friends. And I remember in his room where we used to live at, before it became my room in '96, he would have 3 drawers literally stacked with tapes. And whenever he came back from school, he would always go into his room, watch a tape, and just watch it and be amazed with it. And then I was born in 1990. In 1991, my mother hired a nanny to watch after me. Obviously, because both my mother and father worked, and they weren't around to take care of me. Here's one thing about me: I have a very good memory. Even though there's some people out there that may not remember what they did at ages 1 and 2, but I'm very good with that. And I remember that my nanny, she would always go into my brother's room whenever I would cry, and she would grab a tape from my brother's room, which were wrestling tapes, and she didn't know what it was. And this is what happens when you have someone that doesn't speak English, and all she knows is yes, no, and hello and goodbye. And she would put a tape in the living room, in the VCR, and she would put me in the middle of the living room, and I'd watch wrestling. That's how it all started. And I just remember back in the day watching tapes of WrestleMania 1, watching tapes of old Great American Bashes, watching tapes of SummerSlam, when Hogan slammed Andre, when Hogan went up against the Earthquake, when Ultimate Warrior feuded with Ravishing Rick Rude, and so on and so forth, alright? And then eventually those tapes that my brother had after he left for college became my tapes, and I would have them, and, things happened along the way. And I remember around daycare time, I got suspended for putting a kid in a sharpshooter. And my mother, she wasn't really a fan of me watching wrestling, because she thought it was real. She thought it was violent. Alright, my father knew that, hey, it's entertaining, it's fun, but my mother came up with that old school mentality. And I remember when I got suspended from daycare for that one day, my mother grabbed every tape and she threw them out. And I cried, and I really went miserable. I snapped, but whatever. My father, to his credit, saved a couple of tapes, but not every tape that you can think of. And it sucked, but hey, it is what it is. Looking back at it now, it's crazy that I can go on YouTube right now and search, Hogan versus Earthquake, or Hogan versus Warrior, or anything from the 90s or 80s. It's on YouTube, and I used to have it on VHS myself back in the day. It's crazy. And that's how it started. That's how my love for it began. I know a lot of people always say, and I hear this a lot, even from my friends in general, oh, wrestling is fake, right, bro? Why do you even watch that? Because I love it, And I always ask them the same question. Do you know that the TV show that you watch is fake? The music that you listen to on your beats is fake? What they teach you in school is fake? Everything all around you is fake. The only thing that's real are you and your problem that you go through every day. That's what I've learned. That's my philosophy, if you get what I mean. I love wrestling. I'm sure everyone else out there does as well when they make their videos and all that. 1996, my father took me to my first house show in Madison Square Garden. It was the WWF. I remember it was Shawn Michaels versus Mankind, and it was Bret Hart versus, I believe it was Vader, one of the two. And it was such a great show, alright? Maybe, if I look at it now and I'm like, yo, this was a crappy show, but to me at the time, it was awesome. It was me and my father, and, he understood how much I loved wrestling. 2002, my father took me to Survivor Series. in Madison Square Garden. When Shawn Michaels won the World Heavyweight title, when Brock F5'd the Big Show. You know, it's such a great moment as well, just to see Shawn climb on top of the chamber and hold the World Heavyweight title and all that. And then 2004, my father took me to No Mercy, where Undertaker went up against JBL in that last Rider match. Eddie Guerrero was against Luther Reigns. That was probably the last time I ever saw Eddie Guerrero. And thinking about it now, it's crazy, you know. And then I remember I was supposed to go to WrestleMania 20 at the time, and I didn't get to go. And I remember I got to MSG when the tickets came out on sale, and I found out they were sold out, and I was upset. And I thought to myself at that time that I would never get to go to WrestleMania. And I cried. I didn't really feel well. And I think for every wrestling fan, their dream is to go to a WrestleMania. And that dream finally came literally last year, WrestleMania 29 at MetLife Stadium. And I remember being there. You know, it wasn't really the best WrestleMania of all time, but the fact that it was my first Mania, the first weekend that I got through with WrestleMania, it was awesome, you know. Something I'll never forget. Something that I will tell my kids. Something that I'm sure my kids will tell their kids, and, you know, all that fun stuff. Maybe one day I'll go back to WrestleMania. Maybe when I'm a father and I have my kids and they're old enough to understand it. And maybe I'll share my love for wrestling with them. And hopefully the chain continues. Again, I'm sure that this video won't go viral, but I do hope that the cause of it can go viral with everyone here in the YWC. Be proud that you're a wrestling fan. Don't be ashamed about it. If people tell you, hey, do you watch wrestling? Don't tell them no. Just say, yes, I do. You got a problem with it? Accept me for who I am. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. And yeah, that's all I want to say in this video. I'm not asking for you guys to comment down below. If you can, make a video telling me or everyone else out there, how did your love for wrestling begin? And hopefully, you know, this cause can go places, you know. Let's call this the I'm a Wrestling Fan campaign. Alright? Until next time, guys, I'll catch you all later in the next video. Peace. Enjoying it. But anywho, what I'm about to do, you know, is head to the train station. And I was not. No proof of that.
Bueno, señores, tengo que marcar tarjeta. Un minuto, por favor.
Yeah. Guys, this is not